Gen X grew up on late-night warnings.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Scared, straight.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
And were inspired by movies that defined a generation.
We were all pretty bizarre. Some of us are just better at hiding it, that's all.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I feel the need for speed.
We found our attitude in comedy.
I'm Gumby, damn it!
You see that sign?
No shirt, no shoes.
No dice!
Right. Learn it. Know it. Live it.
And our identity in pop culture.
I want my MTV!
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV!
What you talking about, Willis?
Keep your feet in the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
This is Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhide.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Oh, we're right into it today, folks. Another episode of Gen X Men. Bill Rowland here, Gary Dollarhide there, and another guest, Jonathan Grella from JAG Public Affairs. We will talk all about his background. Unbelievable guest we got on because we've got to talk about some of the wild things going on in the NFL. First off, Grella, good to be on the microphone with you again. Good to see you again. We've done this in the past. I'm glad you're rejoining me here.
It is great to get the band back together and awesome to be with you guys.
Well, let's jump right into it. The big story that has captivated everyone in sports that just doesn't seem to want to go away. And the reason that we brought Jonathan on is because he runs his own crisis public affairs. He's done it all. In fact, before we get into it, Jonathan, give us the 30-second layout. I was telling Gary beforehand, you've worked for the Bucks, you worked for Live Golf, you did stuff in the government. Just give us the quick little rundown of everything that you've done so people know that we're talking to an expert.
Sure. Well, thank you. That's really kind. But a 30-year communication and PR professional with an emphasis on crisis and sports, as you mentioned, politics, advocacy, reputation management, you name it. Strategic communications is my thing. So this story is very much in my wheelhouse as someone who also detests the New England Patriots, but I can be more clinical when it comes to stuff like this. And I can't wait to dive in. There's so much here.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. People obviously know we're talking about this whole Mike Vrabel, Diana Russini thing. And I want to come at it, Jonathan, because everybody's talked about, okay, is their marriage ruined? Is his, the reputation, all that kind of stuff. But I want to find out from you, because you work for an NFL team.
Yeah.
Is the NFL, are they kind of walking a very fine line here with a reporter that didn't work directly for them, but we know how the NFL is partners with everybody.
Yep.
And then one of their head coaches. So everybody knows the background. We're not going to have to break it down. Everybody knows everything that's happened for the most part. But what's the NFL's problem right now, Jonathan, if there is one? In your mind, is there a problem for them?
I'm so glad you asked because I've been thinking all these thoughts and I've had no real occasion to share it with anybody who cared to listen. And so really I would break it down in the following ways. First of all, the welcome to 2026, expect the unexpected. And this is a state of our culture and media and the kinds of things that people consume. Beyond that, you see some other stuff, meaning that if establishment media are not going to cover a story for whatever reason, and there's still demand for the story, that citizen journalism will push it forward and propel it forward. And that's what I think we're seeing here. And so that there's less of a gatekeeper role for the media, and they just get bypassed. If they opt out of the story for whatever reason, there are plenty of people on X who want to get to the bottom of this. There's also a piece of this, and we can get into this a little bit more. It reminds me also of the Ohtani scandal with MLB a few years ago, where you say, how badly does the league office want to get to the bottom of all this? I don't know what's true, right? And like that doesn't mean an adulterous affair is going to be grounds for suspension, right? It would, no team would be able to field the full squad if that were the case. But like, what is the next sort of piece of this is what is actually beyond journalism and media consumption, what is actionable, what is real, and what has potential long-term ramifications, right? Like what could, on the very off chance that Mike Vrabel doesn't survive this, what would be the cause of death, right? Right. And we can delve into that more later. So there are so many different things that intrigue me about this, and I'll pause there to catch my breath.
Well, my question for you, Jonathan, is someone who's been in the hot seat for NFL teams and leagues. I would probably think you're on call 24/7 because again, you said we never know what's going to happen within the organization. I mean, is there tiers of, hey, if it's this, we don't care. If it's this, we care a little bit. Or is that all just kind of figured out at the moment something happens and the response is put together of, okay, internally, again, these are internal conversations. Yeah, we don't care. Can you kind of just smudge that over? We kind of care. Or, geez, is there anything we can do to make this go away and just not talk about it? So I guess starting from the framework of what you guys do.
This is a great question, Gary, and the way I think it would be most fun to answer would be to just sort of put me in the shoes of my counterpart or former counterpart there and say, what do I suspect the experience was, right? So, I hate to say this, but I have a few friends still around the league and with across different teams and so on, and friends in the media and such. And I heard several things about this when it popped, right? One was, it's true, right? Like, or at least, why don't we say, everybody thinks it's true.
Okay.
And everybody thought it was true previous to the pictures getting released. Everybody thought it was true previous to getting the pictures released, including at a recent league meeting, like which I think it turned out to be that owners meeting. Each of these things that my friends are telling me are like kind of turning out to be true as time passes, right? And thanks to the help of people like Tony Farmer and others who are again propelling the story forward. There the stories about the pool party, the stories about the him smacking her on the behind or whatever. And what I had heard from friends was, yes, true. Yes, predates the pictures. Years. This has been going on for years, I had heard. And I said, you mean like a year? Like, no, years. Like kind of open secret. They weren't hiding it. They, there was PDA or whatever canoodling at league events. So like kind of like didn't give a crap about it. And more, right? And then you heard some other stuff from some folks who heard other stories that turned out to be true. They like remember during her time in Washington and the thing that almost got Chris Sims in a whole bunch of trouble. So Gary, to finally answer your question, my guess is she probably found out and like panicked, called him or whatever, and he was like, "Holy shit." In a instance like that, and I've been in these situations, the affected party doesn't really want a lot of people to know, of course, when it's about them, right? They would want me in the room if a player got in trouble because I'd give them the best chance of getting by, right? Like a surgeon in the ER, but like on an instance where the head coach himself is being accused of something kind of ugly, he's going to want to keep that between him and Kraft. And like, I don't know if the director of team security is involved in the instance of this organization. Like if it would involve the player, it would have been like security would have known. The GM, if there was a GM, may have been involved, but in New England, knowing their circumstances, I don't even know that the PR guy was involved at all. I would imagine it probably came in to Russini or to Vrabel or both. And then from Vrabel to probably Kraft saying like, boss, we got to talk. And I mean, there's so much that intrigues me there. I'm going to stop there yet again. But I want to at some point touch back on the Bill Clinton compartmentalization thing, and by him leaving on Sunday of the draft, which looks superficial and sort of like a PR thing, so like whatever. But by saying I left early, you've totally broken the seal on this never affected my professional performance. This never got in the way of me doing my job. And Bill Clinton got by in 1998. As we all remember, because he had to get back to the work of the American people, and nothing was going to get. He had to and the term compartmentalization entered the vernacular.
Well, and I'm sorry, Bill. I was going to say, but that's what I was wondering about. I mean, if you look at the leagues, NFL, there's been greater things that have happened that I would be more like, oh my goodness. If you really step back and look at this, go, all right, he messed around. I mean, I'm sure. Half the league is done it. Why does this matter? Because again, if he can coach the same way, if I can go out there and run for 2,000 yards as a running back, there's a certain level of what does it matter? I'm paid to be a performer here in the team.
On the plane of adultery and morals, this is not, admissible to the league office, right? Like this is not going to get him in trouble. Certainly not going to incur the moral wrath of Robert Kraft of all people.
True, right?
But from my standpoint, Gary, as a crisis guy, you work back from the sort of the worst case scenario. And you want to be able to kind of draw boundaries around the story and say, like, what's the bottom of this? Like, I need to know, like a defense attorney would be. Lay it all out, and I'm going to try to draw, coherent boundaries around our narrative here. And in this instance, I don't know. I think it hits so close to home. You don't know what the deal. The spouse is another complication too, because the spouse is not. I would imagine this is an awful thing to say, but as the longtime wife of a star athlete and coach, I would imagine that she's probably unfortunately been conditioned to accept less from her husband, and that's really sad. But I hope she surprises me, and I think for the sake of her children, but that's neither here nor there. I get my shot in on the Patriots on that level. So yeah, I judge, but what, Gary, becomes actionable from Roger Goodell's standpoint or Robert Kraft's standpoint? How does this thing go bad? When does this thing go from a personal matter that kind of bled into the job to something where you just go, this guy's got to either be suspended for the year or fired? And you go, we're a long ways from that, and it's not going to be over an affair. What we would, the most likely suspects would be by virtue of what is being alleged online. People are going through her timeline and connecting her whereabouts and her scoops involving the Titans and now the Patriots and the AJ Brown stuff and the Morgan Moses stuff, and are basically suggesting there's conflicts of interest, there's tampering considerations. Those we're starting to get there, right? And Gary, if there is eventually a discovered conflict of interest, a discovered tampering charge or something like that, and that doesn't mean we're not necessarily there. Eagles fans are already there, ready to throw him in the cell at the old vet and throw away the key. But we haven't proven tampering yet, right? What else would be, actionable from Goodell or Kraft's standpoint, right? Of course, one is like violation of the actual like policies or of the terms of his contract or whatever, and you just go like or whatever. When is it like the no mas? Is he do other women come out of the woodwork? Are there accusations of? I don't know anything. I haven't heard of anything. I think if anything, we're going to hear more about her other partners than his other partners. So I'm focusing a lot on Vrabel because Vrabel hasn't lost his job yet. She already lost her job, and she's going to be tough to hire. It's going to be tough to trust, of course, when we could talk about her next acts. But when it comes to Mike Vrabel, there's probably a 20% chance he loses his job over this or gets suspended for a year. Like, I mean, but like the only reason why I say 20 and not 10 or 5 is because there's still the wildfire is still burning strong, right? There's still a ton of interest in the story. There's still a lot of potential for there to be more gasoline on it because there's like endless amounts of tweets and potential revelations and things of interest and just ton of demand.
Let's go. You talked about narrative in there, Grell. Let's go back. Kind of touched on Vrabel. Let's talk about Diana Russini here for a minute. And there's been so many weird things from the denials at the very beginning. And honestly, I think that's what's kind of fueled this more than anything is both of them. I'm not putting this all on her. Both of them saying, oh, there's nothing to this. There's nothing to this. And then, as you said, you start looking back, a lot of weird stuff in her timeline. Look, I don't know if it's coincidence or not. Her son's name is Michael. That's weird to me. That's weird to me.
I mean, it's not a coincidence. Whether he's the father is not for us to decide. But like, she's clearly buzzing the tower.
Yes.
And all right, let me say it this way. The Athletic, New York Times denial didn't hold water from the get-go to any serious observers. And here's why they failed. The people who matter most in sort of evaluating the veracity of their statement are the people in the know in the NFL and insider community, right? And everybody knew about this affair already. So like them saying this didn't happen, you say it was your job to know that it happened, and so you can't say that it didn't, right? You can't back her up because as a journalist, even if you didn't want to report the story, you had to freaking know. Why? Because everybody knew. And the same thing is true with like Eric Swalwell on Capitol Hill. Like if I knew, everybody knew.
Right. Yeah. Right. But going back, just let me follow this up real quick. Going back to her, we had this story in the New York Post. I don't know if you saw it, where she apparently, a guy had wrecked his Jeep, and there was a report that she went and got the guy out and his dog out of the Jeep. Yeah. And then later on, it was like, well, not really. She basically just held the leash of the dog after another guy came and got. So, like, if you're talking to her at all, I mean, look, good for her being a good Samaritan to help any way she could when somebody was in dire need. You know,
timing was just too perfect, right? Like,
well, there is that.
It's just on the nose.
I don't think she was driving around looking for people who had turned their Jeeps over to help them. But
like, what are the chances that this lady who makes, national headlines, one day, the next day, saving somebody's life? I don't know what's going on. Let me just say that I have been treated to a timeline full of old clips of hers, and media hits she's done where she says she doesn't want to be introduced as an NFL insider, but rather a MILF. And you're just like, she said that on a radio hit. And it was a lot of that stuff, like where it wasn't just the actual Vrabel relationship, right? But it was also just like her style. Like she was putting it on blast. Like, guys, she was putting the bat signal out there, just like Eric Swalwell was putting it out there. And like you don't, if you like act like brazen like that, then like you don't get the presumption of innocence as easily, because you basically been saying like, I'm on the go team, right? Whether it's Eric Swalwell or Diana Russini, they're putting it out there.
She insulted her husband in another interview, saying that she wished he was better looking or something along those lines.
Yeah, she's emasculated him in a lot of ways. And like, Yeah, and in each individual time, you go, all right, that might be shtick, or I don't care for that, and you go, I've heard that joke one too many times. Like if, like my wife, you're just like, all right, I'm starting to get a complex about this. All right, you insulted him a little bit, yeah. So
how would you, as a crisis PR person, wouldn't you be telling her maybe just try to disappear for like 6 months? Because the next report is, and we're going to get to this, we might as well get to it now.
Yeah.
The latest report is she wants to do a national sit-down interview, whether it's, 60 minutes or who knows, maybe she goes on The View, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know where she's going to show up, but if she called and said, hey, Jonathan Grella, JAG Public Affairs, you're the best of the best. What's your advice? How should I handle this? What are you telling her?
No, Mrs. Grella, no, Mrs. Grella would not stand for this. I don't know if you've ever seen Shane Gillis on SNL do that. Was it a couple of beers sketch or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about if you suffer from moderate to severe Italian wife, and like as an Italian, like I hear the Diana Russini story, and you're just like, man, she's clearly like a different kind of personality. And I'm sure a lot of people found her like spicy and funny and zesty and all these like things that were not all bad, and until that look bad now, that didn't, that were more like, oh, she's adorable. She's a real firecracker. So the serious point here is, whether it's Vrabel or Russini, you think about stakeholders, who matters to their future, and what is going to force their action to do or not do something. So one would be like, if Mr. Russini or whatever, her husband, I don't see her doing a tell-all. I don't see her doing a lot of things if he's still in the picture, or there's a divorce happening where her talking is a problem. And I mean, who knows if she even listens to advice, right? But like, when I think about what her PR playbook looks like, you go, there's a do nothing option, like hide away, like Bill suggested, right? And that's usually not the one I would recommend, because because if the wildfires will continue to rage, whether you're in your underground bunker or not, like then you might as well try to fight the fires a little bit. And so what can she do? I don't know what she's limited by. Obviously the Vrabel's already used the sort of, I'm going to counseling. Like if she was going to say, I have a substance abuse issue or something like that, or that clouded my judgment, or an announcement that would try to turn a little bit, public opinion toward her, get her a little sympathy, give her a little time, a little patience, a little grace, leaning, of course, on her family, which she probably didn't care enough about before now. But I feel for her kids more than she seemingly did. Yep. And they didn't sign up for this shit, which is what I think of with all the politicians, right? You just go like, whatever arrangement you have with your spouse is, it can be fucked up, right? But like, those kids didn't ask for this. And so awful situation, paternity or not. I don't know if you're going to come out, what are you going to say? Are you going to tell the truth? And if you're going to tell the truth, you better stick. It better be nothing but the truth. Right. I don't know what she gains, guys, from lighting Vrabel up right now, unless somebody just decides they're going to pay her a ton. But like, I'm not sure that I'm not sure that he's the most interesting part of this story. And there's part of me that, as a media observer, and even though I don't like the Patriots, like, she's the more interesting part of the story, because of the whole journalistic ethics thing and conflicts and tampering. And my guess is, guys, that if she was playing the game, and I'm very careful, and I like a lot of and respect a lot of and know a lot of the NFL insider community, like, it is transactional. It is a trading of information, but you just go like, what's the line, right? Like, people used to say, stories about the personal relationship. Jay Glazer trains MMA trains with some of the players. That's not right. And, and other people don't like Adam Schefter because he's great at what he does too. And he's like, all right, like, where's the line? I'm pretty sure she's on the wrong side of that line. Right. But you just go like, what else is possible in the realm of the possible with regard to the misuse of her doing this? Like, if she's capable of doing this, my guess is this has happened with other teams that she has probably, whether, not saying she's dated, but maybe she has, I'm going to guess she has dated or used information gleaned from personal, social relationships with people around the league. Who knows what payoffs? The one that I'm like kind of waiting for that there's no reason to think it's going to happen is like, what if, and NFL insiders information got in the hands of like the gambling community, which of course, like now we have like prediction markets and stuff too. So like that information, who's playing, what horse is running in the Derby, what player is is going to be up or down on Sunday, like for injury reasons and a million other things, like have gambling and financial implications. It's not just like it used to be. Coaches were paranoid about somebody filming practice or knowing your audibles or whatever. And now, now we're in this age of information. This is valuable info. So she had access to, and these other insiders and other reporters have access to a lot of delicate stuff. And there are a lot of ways it could be mishandled. Only a few have been, only like really one way of it being misused is being alleged here. But like, my mind starts racing about how NFL insiderdom could go wrong.
Well, that leads me to my next question. So again, technically I think we're going to leave Vrabel alone in this as far as I could see it. And I'm getting into the dark side of PR, right? I'm going to take some time off. The organization will figure it out. Okay. Does the NFL look at this and go, this was a problem, and here's how we're going to set an example so it doesn't happen again? And they, behind the scenes, deep cover, turn the PR battle on her, because you said she's already the more interesting one, and they burn her to the ground as an example of, don't ever let your reporters do this. We expect you guys to be on board. For so many reasons, the PR for the NFL, the insider information, etc., that they burn her to the ground so that no other reporter goes, yeah, I'm going to have to be a little bit more mindful of what may or may not happen in these interactions.
I don't think the league wants to get to the bottom of this, just like the MLB didn't want to get to the bottom of the Ohtani thing, right? You're just like, I don't know what the total facts were of the Ohtani situation, but like using my sports instincts, guys, like I remember thinking to myself, what would I do and how would I sort of game this out? And you just go, all right, first of all, Ohtani, like, who are we talking about here? Too big to fail. You're like, all right, so no matter what happens here, in my mind, I instantly go to the MLB he can't go down. Like, he's too big to fail. This cannot result in him being banned for life from baseball. That was never going to happen. Okay. So you just go like, if the facts were such that, they had no choice but to suspend him for a year, then they would have done that. All right. But they didn't discover that. So who knows about the quality of the investigation, right? So you just think about all of these steps. And by the way, my final thing on the Ohtani thing is teams spend so much time around each other. Baseball teams are pretty freaking small. They are. I was with a football team, right, and a golf tour that had a lot less players in this, right? A lot more players in this. Baseball teams are small. 25 guys, 25 players on the bus or whatever, and the coaches and such, and this interpreter. And then a lot of meals and a lot of time on the road and a lot of time in planes and buses and hotel rooms, a lot of idle time.
Games.
A lot of idle time in baseball, as you know, a lot of idle time in the clubhouse, a lot of idle time in dugout, a lot of idle time, a lot of talking, a lot of, you're on your phone. You can see what the dude next to you. if your translator had a gambling problem and was in the hole and you had the most money, don't you think he'd know? Like, come on, guys. Like I'm telling you, dude, if my translator was having an affair or something like that, like I feel like I'd know, by virtue of like how much time those two likely spent together. You just put yourself in the shoes of that situation and you just go, come on, right? And the same is true with Vrabel Russini. Like anybody who's anybody was at the combine, was at the owners meetings, was at, whatever, the Super Bowl, and they saw and they heard and they all know the same kind of rumors. And you just go like, what do these people like, what is a reasonable expectation for their knowledge, right? And kind of, and based on that, and then their motives, like kind of what the outcomes could be, like what is the likeliest scenario. So look, I think Vrabel's only path to disqualification are if one of the legs of the stool go soft. That's Goodell, Kraft, Mrs. Vrabel or the family. I mean, those are probably the main ones. You just go like, on the Kraft front, he's probably good. Unless he like totally lied to the boss and the boss got pissed. But I don't think that's Kraft's style. This is one time where you're happy that Mr. Kraft is your boss, right? Like, and two, there are other owners that would frown upon such a thing. Two would be, and I'm sure Robert Kraft knew of this relationship before too. Give me a fucking break. He was at all these events too, and he's as plugged in as they come. And that relationship probably benefited the squad, the franchise quite a bit. All right, so probably not news, right? Not alleging, but probably. And all right, so and the Goodell leg only gets wobbly when we're talking about official business like tampering or a violation of the personal conduct policy, like, whatever. Let's say she comes out, she does like Bill suggests, they sit down and she says, we did, hard drugs together and we gambled on the Patriots, like, and while we were, like, right. Like, what would, so the legs of the stool are Goodell, Kraft, and family probably for him, and then the legs of the stool for her. She's already lost her job, obviously. Her stakeholder is her family, and I don't, that, and that's limiting to her for what she could do, because her monetizing this in a sort of like, tabloidy way, like, and I want to be respectful of a mom here, but like in this day and age, you just go like, if she didn't have kids, she'd have opportunities.
Yeah, Stormy Daniels.
I mean, like, whatever, like in the era of like OnlyFans, but like she's a mom, right? Like, so like, you're just like, dude, like she may be totally messed up, but like I think it kind of limits like her going guns blazing at anybody, at Vrabel, or saying like, here's my tell-all book, or I tell you about the half dozen coaches that I dated. And I mean,
right.
Like, I just think she's limited by virtue of the young family.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Bill. And that's what I meant by the Stormy Daniels thing. Like, she could just go, I'm not talking about nudity or anything, just the whole full force, like, yep, all of this happened, and I'm getting paid, write the books, the tell-alls.
Yeah, you'd have to hurt your family more, is what I'm saying. And I don't see her. I would see her. She's trying to. You have the sort of angel or devil on your shoulder. You go, there's a path to redemption, which is a really, really, you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel there right now, right? But you say the devil on your shoulder is, there is probably a really good payday, but it's going to cost you, and you're never going to get the public back, and you're probably not going to get your family back, and you just go like, that's probably not an option. So is
she unhireable? Depending on what she says,
to do what?
But that's the question. We don't know what she will say in this interview. We don't know all the details. We've heard probably maybe 75% of the rumors that you've heard. You're probably a little bit more plugged in than I am as far as things that we've heard about Miss Russini and her past. But depending on what she says in this sit down, let's play it out a year from now. Could she go work would any media company take a chance on hiring her?
I have heard that the Gen X men were thinking about hiring her. My answer is that. My answer is that, like, anybody could have their own podcast, and why wouldn't you just do that? And where the boundary I would avoid, I think, Bill, the crux of your question is about what will she be allowed to do? What would somebody like? What will an employer or like an audience or the public kind of like accept her as doing, right? Like, obviously she's not going to be giving, marital or parenting advice like in a credible way, but journalism is probably off the table too. NFL insiderdom is the trading of information. So like, could she go total heel and like join up with a gambling, a thing, and put on leather pants and say like, well, here's what I heard, and live from the Caesars Sportsbook and Las Vegas, like, totally, dude, like, of course she could lean into the caricature or whatever and monetize it like WWE style, sure. The problem comes when you get closer to the trust and ethics, right? And who's going to trust her to be on the level? You go, well, why is that a problem? Because she had an affair? No, because let's say, and this came to mind. Let's say Diana Russini is calling the director of PR for the Jets, right? The squad that I care for, and that I was a ball boy for in 1990, and you just go, you call the PR guy, and I let's say was unaware that she had this years long relationship with Vrabel, and she's pulling information out of me. And hey, ask him if this guy's gonna play this weekend. Ask him, tell him, to tell his coach about, like, you could play stories the night before a game. He could weaponize her. Yeah. He could have her pulling information out of me. Like, there are a lot of different ways that a journalist or a reporter who is supposed to be on the level, if they were actually compromised, right? Like, and you could say this is like China or Russia compromised somebody, or you could say like a team or a coach by virtue of even a relationship that began in just sort of a romantic or sexual way. Like, she ends up becoming an asset for the New England Patriots and for that guy, and then maybe the Tennessee Titans before that. And like, I would feel like I'm at a tremendous competitive disadvantage. And that's why a lot of people from, Jets fans and others and a lot of Eagles fans wondered if the AJ Brown thing was the impetus for all this. And what Eagles fans are like, I've had enough of you messing with me. So, she cannot be trusted to do anything involving journalism or ethics, but that doesn't mean that she's not going to get a podcast or do a show or whatever. She's going to do something to make a buck. I hope, I pray for her family.
You brought him up earlier, Eric Swalwell. We'll pivot here to politics, because I know that's your background as well.
Yep.
He just he did exactly what I think Russini should do. And I know you disagree with me, and you're the pro, so you know better than I do, but he's gone.
So
nobody's talking about that dude anymore.
Whether you swing at a pitch depends on like kind of what you have to work with, right? So you say you could either hide out, you can go into hiding for a little while, or you can go and face the music. What I would counsel my client to do depends on what kind of story they have to tell. Sure. So if we're in the instance of like JP Morgan, right? Like, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Like, you go, I could proceed with much more confidence as the PR guy if I go, oh, this didn't happen. Oh, we can shout it from the rooftops, or I could say like, this is bogus or whatever. Like that's much different from, oh, it's true. How long has it been going on? How bad does it get?
Let me get my notepad
Are you
out.
serious? That's true. Oh, that does Sheena, like, and you're just like, with Swalwell, if you face the music right now, what would he say? The only out, and this is like now seen as transparent, is I'm going to go to rehab. I'm a sex addict and alcoholic and a drug user. Like, I was high as a kite the whole time. Like, people will see through that, but could you kind of like find, kind of be like, Ric Flair and escape with the belt by losing by DQ? Yeah, you might be able to get by with the rehab move if you're Swalwell. But like, other than that, what are you going to say? You don't know the bottom of it. My guess is, guys, that like that dude who put it on blast everywhere and everyone in town knew. And if my old irrelevant ass doesn't knows that you're like that, then everybody freaking knows, right? So so he couldn't kind of get his arms around the bottom of this and how bad is this story. So if I'm going to send a client out there, you go, how many women, how many times, how long did this happen? Like, it's never going to happen again. And you go, like, this guy is, first of all, probably, it is going to happen again. And like, he doesn't remember it, how many hundreds or thousands of, people he's been with in similar situations. It just seems like that's what this guy does. And it's not a surprise. And it's not because it's him. It's because that's what a lot of politicians and people are like. And like, he's told you, just like Diana Russini, he's told you I'm that guy, and she's told you I'm that girl. And like, when people tell you who they are, you got to listen to them.
Mm-hmm. Well, to me, this seems like the difference, and I don't want to get off too far into politics and the weeds, but I felt like the Swalwell situation was a little bit engineered. Like, we already knew all of these things, and all of a sudden it's boom.
Yeah.
We need to tell people. And then there's the inference that it was because they were trying to rig the election a little bit in California. So it's kind of look, you're going to take this one for the team. You're not going to like it. Here's your medicine, but we'll get you back in the game. Just give us 6 months to a year.
I don't know if they can get him back, though. Girl, can they get him back in the game?
Swalwell?
Yeah.
I mean, probably going to make money, lobbying or whatever. I don't know. Like,
Lieutenant Governor, again, I don't know.
Let's see, does a guy get full on canceled? It seems like we might be heading in that direction where if we're talking about, things like sexual assault or whatever, then like that's a tough, you're canceled, right? But look, I think this is a type. He is a type, and again, those types advertise who they are, and for better or worse, it's sort of like I think of like the if girls are down with that program, like they're gonna know that he's open for business, all right, and so I think you build up a sort of a reputation and a body count or a list. A lot of people who are, say he didn't remember me the next time I saw him, and you piss off a lot of people and and it doesn't go anywhere for years and years. Why? Because a lot of people do it around DC and it's a yucky story. And when does it become a problem? When it becomes either actionable, meaning it gets in the way of your official business, and a lot of journalists don't want to touch that. Or better yet, like, let's just say that him being a sort of like in with the in crowd Democrat politician, like on Morning Joe kind of guy, like he was a made man and he played a role on the team, right? He was a presidential candidate. He was a hatchet man. That's his job. His job is to be a goon, like kind of like the hockey goon role, but like in Congress, right? And so like that, what he was came with all that. See, he was useful for their purposes. The time that he gets slapped down, Gary, is when he gets uppity, right? Where he decides he wants to run for governor, and then some other Democrat, particularly one with a lot of money, says, all right, this is where this ends. I'm going to end you because I know what everybody else knows is that you're lecherous, right? And I'm going to take you out. And of course, the media, who probably did not want to cover Swalwell's transgressions when it was Republicans pitching stories, now that Tom Steyer's campaign was pitching the story, are like, let's go. So, I mean, just like when you saw bad stories about like Kamala Harris a few years ago before she became top of the ticket and she was just vice president, and there were stories about her being like this mean boss or whatever, and you go, if the Washington Post is writing stories about Kamala Harris being a mean boss, that's not being pitched by Republicans. It may have been pitched by Republicans, but they wouldn't have said yes. They're only writing these stories if it benefits another Democrat. Right. And so, and the same is true here. Eric Swalwell's story only saw the light of day because it behooved another Democrat. And you can only, right now, the media will not end a Democrat if they can avoid it.
Yeah.
John, looking at what happened, we touched on it a bit. We'll slide over this JP Morgan thing, which, I mean, from the jump, I went, there is no shot that this is real. Zero. I mean, the first time I read it, I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then you're reading the lawsuit or whatever, and the language this dude used, saying that his boss, for those of you who don't, I don't know how you missed the story, but anyway, a subordinate at JP Morgan claimed that his female boss was basically sexually harassing him and forcing him to have sex with her and all this other stuff. And
drugging him,
calling his wife a fish head Asian, which I never heard that insult before.
Oh, I didn't.
You didn't hear that part of it? Oh, it was wild.
I got distracted.
Grella, I knew it was fake the moment he said that she said, your fish head wife doesn't have these cannons. Talking about her own breast. No woman is using the phrase cannons for her own breast.
You just haven't met her yet, buddy. So, yeah, that's one where there's a reporter or whatever. The lawsuit gets filed, and you just go, what is going on with this guy if he's filing this lawsuit and it's like, you know, a figment of his imagination or a smear job? Because like it seems like he's going to get, you know, it's going to be a problem for him, you know, to have done this to her. So, but like JP Morgan knows by virtue of the fact this guy didn't participate in the investigation, right? And that, you know, they tried to verify his claims and they could not. And so you just go, oh, all right, well, this is going to be a strange story. And like, they probably tried to kill the story, I'm going to guess. That they're telling media, hey, listen, he filed a frivolous suit. It would be damaging to defame the company and the executive by, you know, printing this. So they probably tried to get the story buried. My guess is they're like, hey, you know, lawsuits are public domain. And you know, it's got rocket fuel, like, you know, on it, just like the other one. You just go like, you know, you've got the essential ingredients of like sex and money and, you know, a big name and we're off to the races. And then the narrative moves at light speed, and the facts are like the tortoise trying to catch up, saying like, before we cast judgment on her, and then of course, like, you know, the initial story broadcast, you know, globally, and the, you know, correction, you know, whispered locally, like, you know, many days later. So like, and people just want to believe, right? In the instance of like Vrabel Russini, like she again they were not hiding it. I mean, there was also that bar incident too, right? They were not hiding their thing. So like, whatever. But like in this one, you just go, oh man, like this is
like Penthouse Forum. It was like a 14-year-old writing into
I never thought I'd be in a situation like this. Yeah.
You're never going to believe this. I was sitting in my JP Morgan office and my boss came in with her cannons out. It's like, come on, what are you talking about? Yeah,
that's incredible. Yeah, so I don't know what the end game is here, guys, or if it was like maybe a really good dare. It's something though. But like, I would imagine she would be able to sue him now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she could, and she'd win. The other weird part about it is I saw a thing with his dad He lied to JP Morgan at one point, took like 2 months off because he said his father had passed away. His dad is still alive. So, I mean, this dude, there's something really. He's
dude,
just trying to,
if I was a dad, I'd be pissed, dude. Like, he's going to get struck by lightning.
I mean, that's just a horrible way to do things.
Because the part I saw was
he's clearly messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had filed another lawsuit for wrongful termination or something when he was leaving JP Morgan.
Right.
And that got quashed or thrown out. And then all of a sudden, we're going to try for round 2, and they can't ignore this one, is what I assumed to his head. Yeah. You know,
I don't know what's going on there, but he's not well.
Yeah.
So it just seemed like he was chasing settlement money. Like they are not going to fight a second one, so they'll just pay this out and be done with it. That's the feeling I got from reading all of this.
If you were trying to get paid, you would probably crafted a more credible story with less holes, right? But again, you know, the language, and you just go like, I would think that this was not he did not put this into ChatGPT saying make this as lucrative as possible, as airtight and lucrative as possible. Instead, you know, he was just like, you know, let's go unfiltered, lift the restrictor plates and make it Penthouse Forum style, suitable for the Telegraph or Daily Mail and the New York Post, right?
Well, here's my question on that as a PR professional. You know, media has changed. 30 years ago, you had your legacy media, your core, and then you had your tabloids. But it seems like today, and this story is a perfect example, the legacy media that would have been covering said, yeah, JP Morgan said it's not real, whatever, go away. But you have tabloids and people on X and all the social media. They're out there just for clickbait, page views. So they will take that story and just keep throwing it out there, fuel on the fire for the average person to go, oh my God, did you see that story? And it seems like the legacy media is running behind like, whoa, hold on. That wasn't even real to begin with. But now they've got to get involved because of, the second tier media, if you will, whatever you want to call it, has turned this thing into a bonfire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I also find interesting is that you have there's something for everyone, right? Like anything we want in this day and age, we can find on the internet and beyond, right? and the same is true for content and news, right? And it's you can craft your feed that, you know, to tailor it to your exact political views, etc. And the same is true here, right? And so if legacy outlets opt out of a story because it's too tabloidy, you know, in the instance of like the JP Morgan one, it was only going to be a New York Post or a tabloid story unless there was like something more meaty, substantive about it. You know, there was, you know, extortion and, you know, like some real maybe official business, like, you know, meaning corporate stuff and not just an executive, right? There would need to be something more where like a media person, the legacy media person would be like, I don't want to cover it, but I feel like we have to. But if they had the chance to opt out, they would not have. But in this day and age, I don't know that I think of it as like there's the name brand media and the non-name brand media as much as like if the ESPN refuses to scratch our itch on the Vrabel Russini thing, and we're wasting our time, like there's a million reasons. It's not Watergate, you know, it's not like Hunter Biden laptop why ESPN doesn't want to cover. It's like everybody knows why ESPN kind of can't cover it. Like she used to work for them. ESPN covers their, you know, partners in delicate ways and yada yada. And again, until this becomes more about sports, they're not going to cover the sex side of sports unless it's a little bit more closer to the target. All right. So but now you've got no shortage of citizen journalists, sports business like outlets and X accounts and other stuff who cover, you have like Front Office Sports or Black Sports Online or Sports Business Journal. I'm not saying just those guys, but like you don't just have like one option anymore. You have like these subspecialties and all these like other, not just outlets but accounts or individuals who can push a story forward. And you don't need just, you could have like your Us Weeklies and People magazines who care about, who I promise you in the National Enquirer, coming to the supermarket checkout line is going to be Vrabel, Russini if they're not there already. Like this has enough juice that this is gonna stay big. But like, who will cover it from a substantive standpoint? If the ESPNs of the world opt out, there are going to be people who cover it from the tabloid side, from this sort of sports side, but aren't encumbered by their partnerships or relationships, and what this results in, sort of the cause and effect thing here is part of the reason why the alternative media or this sort of like new iteration of the media landscape is the way it is because not only were media opting out of covering things that people cared about, but it then turns into this gatekeeper and lifeguard role where that goes beyond, in my view, and maybe it's not articulated, but at a certain point, people triggers the public gag reflex when they think that the media is, they're going to cover things. They're going to probably cover it from a slanted angle. And gosh, it's kind of crappy that they refuse to cover things that they should cover, Hunter Biden laptop kind of thing. All right, but like, if they're going to completely opt out, it's fair game for other people. Mm-hmm. In their view, they are trying to keep anyone from talking about the wrong thing, right? So, like you using the example of like popular ones, right? Hunter Biden laptop was a political version of that. Another one would be like COVID stuff. It's irresponsible for media outlets to talk and to promote people going out in the open or doubting the vaccines. It's also the media like trying to control stories about vaccinations and I'm sorry, about election results and election integrity is another one too, where it would be irresponsible if right. If we covered story about it, and you just go, wait a second, dude, you've now there's been mission creep from just journalism into what the people should and shouldn't know, and like our system is about us electing our representatives, and you aren't even our elected representatives. You are here to cover, to chronicle the news, right? And so I think that the media has opted out of so much, but they've sort of like left it on the curb, right, for somebody else to pick up. And all this territory is fair game for startup journalists and citizen journalists, et cetera, to cover. And it doesn't mean that there are lower journalistic standards if people want to talk about this on X. What it means is that whether you like it because you hate the Patriots or love the NFL, or this is just crazy, or you like celebrity gossip, like, nobody gets to say what we're allowed to like and not like. ESPN has every right not to cover this story, and we could all sort of say, like, I think less of you because of it, if you feel like that. But like, I get why they don't, and there's no sense in belly aching about it. They're just signing their own death certificate all the more by everything you opt out of is now fair game for someone else.
It's a great way to finish it there. Grell, we appreciate the time, man. You crushed this. As always, tell people if they're looking for some PR crisis, where can they find you? JAG Public Affairs. I'm assuming that's where you want everybody to head to.
Thank you very much, guys. It's been great hanging out with you, and I'm looking forward to doing it next time.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate it, Grell, and I will catch up with you soon, man. Appreciate the time, buddy.
Take care, guys.
All right, there you go. Jonathan Grella, JAG Public Affairs. What do you think, man? I mean, we crushed it, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can tell he's spot on his game, knowing the ins and outs and how to think about it and what to think about it. And yeah.
I mean, I think he's 100% right as far as like, hey, we know why ESPN didn't pick this up. It's no secret why they didn't pick it up. And some people just shrug their shoulders and go, I don't care about it anyway. Just show me the highlights of the NBA playoffs. And other people will be like, hold on a second. Everybody else is talking about this. Why aren't you guys talking about this? Yeah. I think it depends on what you want. I don't watch ESPN other than live games. Other than that, I never watch them. So,
well, no, he helped me with my mindset because, like the JP Morgan thing that, the bigger media outlets didn't cover it, but we were seeing it all over Twitter and everything else. And in my mind, it was, well, the story is that there was nothing there, but everyone else is, again, creating this bonfire of, oh my God, did you read it? And I look at it as, well, yeah, they were just stoking it to get page views and everything else. Right. But he's exactly right. And I see that in the field of information. Hey, if you don't want to talk about it, then you're not going to talk about it. But if someone else does, especially with the expansion we have, then they're going to talk about it. And it is what it is. So
then you're behind. Then you're behind.
Yeah.
All right. We want to get to this because you were just here in DC.
Jet setting, right?
You are the jet setter. You flew in Tuesday. You flew back out Wednesday. So you were just here because you saw your guy. You saw the George Thorogood and the Delaware Destroyers.
Well, they're just the Destroyers now. So.
Oh, they dropped Delaware? Were they ashamed?
Well, they dropped Delaware like a long time ago. So, but everyone just remembers them as the Delaware Destroyers.
How was Mr. Thorogood? And did you have one shot, whatever the song is?
One shot, one beer, one scotch. No.
No.
Now you've messed me up.
I don't remember. But
I've got the T-shirt back there.
You have all the drinks.
I did
them. One shot, one beer.
That was the specialty at Capital One Hall for the night.
Nice.
Right? So you gave them a few bucks. They gave it to you.
All right.
One bourbon, one scotch, and one beer. Okay. So my first time at Capital One Hall, and I'll have to say it may seem average to everyone. I thought it was amazingly designed for what it's for, whether you're there for concert or Broadway shows or whatever. It's just designed wonderfully for an event because you go into Capital One, I think they call it the hall. It's a great hall. It's got all the beer and everything. There's plenty of room for everybody. There's a outdoor balcony that you're overlooking 123 and Capital One Road. So you have plenty of room to move around. You're not just jammed in there like a concourse at like a sports arena sometimes you get into. And then inside, nicely padded seats. For people like me, I like the extra leg room away from the row in front of me. We sat in the back of the first tier. So as soon as you start from your seat and got behind, there's 4 feet of space, if not more. You just go hang out by the wall and just stand there and enjoy yourself. But as for the show, George, he's 76 years old.
Nice.
I wouldn't say he moves like a 76-year-old, but he gets around the stage. He's not just hobbling around. He's actually performing, playing his guitar. You can see his hand cramp up a little bit. Musically, he was never the greatest voice talent.
No.
But in his case, he sounds just like he did 40 years ago. He might not drag out a few notes, but the voice hasn't changed. It's still there. It's still polished for what he does of blues, rock and roll. And God bless him. 76-year-old. They were leaving Tyson's last night, playing Myrtle Beach tonight.
Did anybody open for him, or was it just him?
Yes. Alistair Green. He's a guitar player from Texas. So
yeah, I don't know that one.
I mean, maybe the hardcore people do, but yeah, most of us were like, "Who's this?"
How long was the set?
90 minutes.
Okay,
that's pretty all good. The hits.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many hits does he have that, I mean, you wouldn't want to go more than 90 minutes, right?
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. He's got 4 or 5 core that everyone knows, and then he would play some covers of similar sounding rock style songs, and it was just a great time.
Good for
Couldn't
him.
ask for more.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So who's next? I saw, I'm going to be so mad at myself that I don't remember who it was. I should have written it down because I saw they were going to be in Bangor, Maine. And it was the Romantics,
Toto,
yes,
and Christopher Cross. I secured
secured my tickets on Sunday night for that.
So, yes, I'm all set to go to that one.
For some reason, I saw, and I think it's because I ran across whether I don't remember if it was on X or whatever it was, because I follow a lot of the like retro whatever, and it was Christopher Cross. Oh, I know what it was. They had a video of Christopher Cross and Dudley Moore, who most people don't know. Dudley Moore was a concert pianist. He was legit. And it was Dudley Moore was on the piano, Christopher Cross singing Arthur's theme.
Yes.
And I watched the video of it, and I was like, is Christopher Cross? I hate to say this. I was like, is he still alive?
Yes.
And by the way, if he definitely is, because he's touring. If you've seen the video, or if you know the song, and Christopher Cross has Sailing, Arthur's Theme, a couple other ones, you hear his voice, you're like, man, this dude, I mean, he can sing. There's no doubt about it. Dude's got pipes. You go watch videos of him, you're like, that's what he looks like?
That
like,
poor guy.
That voice does not match him.
No, and
it's crazy.
Historically, is what they pointed to, how MTV killed
him.
Vocalist. And he was the prominent example of this guy's an amazing vocal talent. He's got great songs. They don't know what to do with him to make a video to make it worthwhile putting on rotation on MTV. So he just kind of petered out from being that popular.
It sucked. And I did, and I usually don't trust Wiki, but I did a Wiki dive, and I'm like, this dude actually was it, or maybe it was on his website. I don't remember, but I was like, this dude was still putting out albums. Like, I thought, MTV killed his career, so that was it. Just kind of faded away. No, he was still putting out albums, just nobody cared. Because again, that voice is tremendous. You put that voice in a more telegenic, package, he's a star. Yeah. An absolute star for more than the 4 or 5 years that he was a star. So good for you. I saw that and I went, I need to go to Bangor.
You should fly up for that. You can do exactly what I did. Because I drove to Portland, even though it's a little bit further than Bangor, to fly out yesterday morning.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I was the one person in line at TSA. So walked right through, sat at my gate, got on the plane, flew to Reagan, right off the plane onto the metro right out to Tyson's Corner, which was all new to me because back in my day, there was no metro to Tyson's and that far. Yeah. So it was like, wow, this is fantastic. And then hung around Tyson's for, the afternoon, enjoyed the great weather there and went to the show. Got to bed late last night and then got up dark early to find out that traffic at 6 a.m. is still the same on 395 to get to the airport.
Why didn't you just take the metro in?
Because where I was staying, it was just easier to take. Yeah, it's not near metro. It's out off Braddock Road. So they're
okay.
If I'm going to have to get the Uber to get to metro, just drive me in, please. Thank you.
I got you.
But then I was blown away on the Route 1 corridor.
Oh,
I'm sitting there like a 5-year-old saucer. Like, where do all these buildings come from? Because it's changed so much.
Yeah. Well, where you got off the metro there in McLean, literally you were a half mile from where the condo that I used to live in.
Oh,
it was literally
good life.
A half mile from there. Yeah, I mean, it was nice because anytime if I had to go to DC, I literally would just walk to the metro. It was like in total, it's like a mile by the time you got walked out and around and everything. But yeah, it's right there. It was nice.
I remember them putting in the Silver Line, going all the way out to Dulles, and it just never registered that now I have a second option to get to DC because now I could fly into Dulles and hop the metro to get back into Fairfax and DC far easier.
Yeah, it's a long ride though from Dulles going all the way in, but yeah, you definitely have options.
We'll see, because I saw other shows. Blackberry Smoke is coming in September to the Capital One Hall. You never know where I'm going to show up down there now, because there's so many concert venues that it's opened my eyes again to like, oh, if I want to go see someone, I can just hop the flight to DC.
Well, that was my question. Obviously Christopher Cross, Toto and the Romantics is a concert coming up. What else is on the agenda now? What are you looking at?
It's going to depend on some work things because, unfortunately, a lot of these concerts fall on the weekends, and depending on how my schedule is, that's where I'm mostly scheduled. But we've got Motley Crue coming to Bangor.
Nice.
Styx is going to be over in New Hampshire.
Okay, is that Styx with or without Dennis DeYoung?
Oh no, he's been gone a long time.
Well, I didn't know if I thought they did a reunion thing at one point. Are he and Tommy Shaw still fighting?
Probably. I mean, when I saw him 2 or 3 years ago, I mean, Tommy Shaw is still there, but whoever, I can't remember the guy's name that replaced Dennis DeYoung, who's currently with them. Dead Ringer voice wise, you don't know the difference. He's that good.
Okay.
So I can't remember his name because his brother's also on tour, plays backup bass or something. Unless they made another change. Whoever the current singer is has his brother is also playing guitar or something for Styx on the tour.
Oh, okay.
But who knows? Maybe they made changes again.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, that whole thing. Oh, they're going to be in Gainesville.
There you go.
Right out here in Virginia on July 20th.
Maybe I'll have to come down and hang with you and go to that one.
I don't know if I want to go see Styx.
I think they were in Chicago. So
okay, well that makes sense. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I like both of them enough that I could tolerate like the concert.
Yes.
So let me see who
Jiffy Lube Live.
It is now. Members James J.Y. Young, he was an original. Czech Pisano's an original. Tommy Shaw's an original. Todd Schuerman, not original. Lawrence Gowen, I don't think is an original. Yeah. And Evan Kovic. So it's just James Young, Chuck Pisano, and Tommy Shaw, I think, are the only 3 originals from it. Because John Pinozzo, who is Chuck's brother, is listed here as a past member. And here's Dennis DeYoung listed here as well, who was, his thing. But again, they formed way back in like the mid 60s. So it's not a surprise that, like Tommy Shaw, who was a member of Damn Yankees. You remember that?
Yes.
He's, he and Dennis DeYoung got into it. So, yeah.
Well, that's what they're saying, that, where will the breakaway happen when you have these groups that are touring? And it's already happened in some occasions where there's no original member, that they're just playing the music, but they're the quote unquote authorized by whoever owns the rights to be Toto, Kansas, whoever, etc., and still do the tours.
I believe that is the case with the Drifters.
Okay.
The Drifters are still around, but there ain't no original members of the Drifters left. I think they're all have passed away.
Yeah, or just too old to perform at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine they've passed away because they started in 1953. So I'm guessing original members not around. And if you look, I'm looking on their wiki page now, there are 4 members of the Drifters currently. The past members, it looks to be about 45 to 50, and I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah.
I mean, when you've got like Benny King was even listed as a member of the Drifters at one point. So, I mean, they just have kind of cycled through people, and now they still tour. It's still guys doing the Drifters, and they just keep passing it along, but it's not the Drifters.
And so that became the question of when is it, because what's hot right now is tribute bands. Especially here in the Northeast, there's a ton of them. So if you want to see, Tom Petty tribute, etc., where do you draw the line when all the original members are gone, let's say, because that's going to happen soon with, say, Foreigner. I think Lou Graham's going to be the only one. He's not even really with the band anymore. Are they still going to tour? Are they Foreigner? I mean, like, where do they rank when there's no original people playing the music that you love?
Right.
So you'll have those marketing questions going forward at some point.
I mean, even I'm looking here on the Drifters wiki page because now I'm just fascinated by this. They literally, starting in May to June of 1953, they're the members of the group. And then July of October, like, they changed constantly. I didn't realize this. That their people changed all the time. Like, it wasn't like, okay, here's 4 or 5 main guys that did it for 20 years. And then as they started getting older, no, it was a constant state of
plug
flux.
and play, constant plug and play.
I love the Drifters. I don't know which era, I don't know which guys, but I love them. I have a couple of their albums. It's good stuff.
Are they on tour since you're on the wiki page?
I have no, well, I don't, it doesn't say.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure there's a drifters.com. Let me see if I can find that. But I mean, they have, I mean, again, if you're sitting there going, Bill, who are the Drifters? Trust me, if you heard their songs, There Goes My Baby.
Classics.
Yeah, classic. Trust me,
50s,
you know Drifter songs.
Mm-hmm.
You may not know, okay, I'm on the Drifters thing. It says tour dates.
Oh, here we go.
Let's click on that and see where they're going to be. This looks like they're in Europe.
Oh, well,
it's like
hey.
Blackburn, Watford, Derby.
Yes.
Yeah, these are definitely all England. Wrexham. Yeah.
Well, we should talk to the accountant to see if they can fund us to go over there, and we'll do a live show there and get them,
on the show
with us. Yeah,
sure. No, these are definitely all British. I mean, it doesn't even look like they're leaving the islands of the British Isles over there.
People love America. George, I was looking at his tour schedule, and I think after July, he's spending most of August, half of September in Europe.
Okay. Makes sense.
People love American music.
Yeah, I mean, these are tour dates through October of 2027.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all over there. It's all across the pond.
Huh.
Everything. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Good for them. Good for them. I mean, that's awesome that they're still doing stuff. So I don't know. So the next one, I guess, is just that you have tickets for is the Romantics and Toto and
Christopher Cross.
Christopher Cross.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, and I do have my master list because I usually sit down and make the list of who's where in between Boston, Maine, and New Hampshire. I do have a few listed down in DC, but again, it's all going to be based on timing. Because I always do the DC list because I already knew it was fairly easy to get down there, and I have places to stay.
I was gonna say,
it's just always adding in the all right. Well, I got to fly in. Am I going to afford it for this? And that extra little hitch. But yesterday, maybe because it was a Tuesday, was so darn easy. I can do this all the time. There's no one around. I
saw, and not that people. I mean, again, Spirit Airlines went under, but they never had any accidents. I saw in July, I can get to Miami round trip for $66 on Frontier.
Ooh, yes.
And I was like, talking to Carrie about it. I'm like, we can get to Miami for $66. And she goes, yeah, but what are we going to do in Miami? I'm like, I don't know.
Miami. Miami.
Go to Miami. Why wouldn't I go to Miami for $66? So,
yes.
I mean, I was like, there's got to be something to do. People go there all the time. People love Miami. So it's got to be something. I was like,
you love the weather.
We'll drive to Key West. I don't know. Whatever. Figure it out. So, all right. Well, this again, that was fun with Grella.
Yeah. It's good to get some other perspectives from the professional because all I ever had was PR 101 back at Mason, so that will only get you so far.
Yes, and this shows you where I would have no idea because I'd be like, man, just go away for a while. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why even? And I don't know. Again, I feel bad, like he said, because if you're her husband, I mean, forget the infidelity stuff. That just added on to all the other things that she used to say about him. I mean, she would insult him constantly, whether it was good natured or not. It's one thing if you want to have an inside joke with your significant other between you two, or even with close friends. But if you start going out on like podcasts and stuff and talking about how your husband isn't as manly as, whatever it is, or as attractive, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was insulting. Look, I take a joke. You make fun of me all day long. I don't care. But if it's your wife or your husband that's doing it, at some point you're like Grella said, at some point you're like, hey, wait a minute. Let's, You're saying this a little too often, and it sounds a little too real.
Yeah.
So if I'm him, I think he's got. If I remember right, he's got a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
I might be like, see ya. I don't know. I mean, I'm
not
in the bedroom, so I have no idea.
I think the thing that we have to realize is, besides her doing that, it had to manifest itself in the relationship somewhere prior to this. Like, whatever their disagreements are, their friction has been there. I'm sure it just didn't come out of left field. So whatever their relationship was over the years and with all that friction, now it's come to a head. So I think that's where they're at. And I think that's going back to what you said. She said these things. I think her biggest problem ever doing anything again is the track record. You can't just look at this one little instance and she can say that was bad judgment on my part, because we know that the rumors from her Redskins days, there's rumors from when she was first out of Mason of things going on in DC, right? So there's a full track record there that she will have to answer for, and I don't think she can. But
it's gonna be tough. And again, the other part, and we didn't get into this with Grella, but the other part that I feel bad about, and he mentioned it, he knows a lot of these. He probably knows more of them than I do from his time in Tampa Bay. But a lot of these other insiders, and I'm not talking about like the Jay Glazers and the Adam Schefters. I'm talking about people like Michelle Tafoya and other women that are in the business that, for all accounts, didn't go by getting their stories in this manner.
Correct.
And it has now set them back. They are now guilty just by
association.
Just by in the same field as her, doing the same job as her. Now, anytime one of them breaks a story, it's going to be, oh, you must have been sleeping with that coach or that player or that front office, like whatever it is. And that's not fair to them. That's just simply not fair. And
then the other unfair portion is, I say what you want. I think depending on how long any newer female, let's say the Tafoyas and others have been around forever is one thing.
That's true.
Who's the next young one that a coach or a player is going to be like, so what's going on? Outside of the give and take of a normal interview. She broke the women getting into sports, and sports reporting is such a big thing. And she just broke the biggest cardinal rule of the whole thing of, don't cross that line, because it's twice as hard for the recovery. Men just ask questions, but it was always a question of, women in sports, and doing interviews. You broke that cardinal rule big time, and evidently more than once. Again, rumors alleged. Right. You shot yourself in the foot, Diana. Come on.
And this is why I wanted to see if Carla would come to this conclusion of, is she hireable again? Well, I tell you what, if I'm a woman at any organization that is thinking about bringing her in, I'm like, oh, hell no. Hell no. You're crushing our credibility. You hire her. You're saying it's okay. Oh, mea culpa. She's fine now because she apologized for what she did. You're now putting that stain on everybody that's involved in that. And that, to me, I'd be like, no, not having it. Not having it. It's tough. I mean, probably not fair, but the reality of it.
Yeah.
It's the reality of
it. But in the same sense, I don't think it's tough unfair, because she put herself there.
Oh, I agree.
That is the whole premise from the get-go, is she didn't have to go, cross the line. I know it takes two to tango, but if one partner steps away, then the tango is over. So she put herself there.
She could have said no at any point. Any point. So, all right. We did a long one today. Love it.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. Again, Grella was fantastic. It just proves to me that we need guests more often, because people are way smarter than us.
Yes.
So we'll have to continue down that path. Do you have any parting words? Anything that you picked up from your boy, George Thorogood?
Well, not from George, but based on what we talked about today, going back to Don Henley's, I think it was 1982, Dirty Laundry. We love it. Kick them when they're up, kick them when they're down.
This concludes this episode of Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhite. Gen X Men is now off the air.